I got a new idea.
Oh boy, how much is this gonna cost?
Don't worry, I'm not buying a new gun yet. All right, I think I want to do a shotgun video.
Because the last one turned out so well.
Well, this is gonna be different. I think I'm gonna have retro in the title. Yeah. People still like retro, right?
You already have people calling you rip-off admin. Do you really want to go down this road?
You're right. Before you know it, I'll be doing blood diamond carbines and movie analysis on the channel. All right, what if we get a shotgun,
Okay.
we get some watermelons,
All right.
test the effectiveness of 12 gauge.
Okay, Mr. Wannabe Grantham, what's next? White lab coats and breast implants?
You're right. Although if I find a guy with some glasses and a Pacific Northwest mustache, I'll take you up on that. All right, I got it. What if we take a shotgun, but it's 3D printed? It's lighthearted, we throw some jokes in there, and I even wore a ski mask with some girls.
Wait, Lucas is just gonna think you're gay. Do you remember the PSR stuff?
You're right. You know, maybe I'm just not cut out for YouTube. I thought by now I'd have sponsorships and I'd be shilling for Sonoran Desert Institute.
How about this? Be yourself.
That'll never work.
No, hear me out. Be yourself, come up with original content, your own parodies to things. Don't be like every other YouTuber. Just be yourself, make parodies, have fun.
Are you sure I don't need to have a gun meme review segment on the channel?
Yeah, I'm sure.
You've seen it, I've seen it, we've all seen it. We are no strangers to the modern patrol rifle that cops have been seen using. It seems to be a staple now of police here in the US, but it wasn't always like that. There was once a time in America where cops were using revolvers and their trusty old shotguns. So what changed? Well, long story short, a little thing called the 1997 North Hollywood Shootout. If you don't know what that is, without going into a bunch of crazy detail, in short, it was a couple of bank robbers who, in the late 90s, during the assault weapons ban, funny enough, these two guys met in LA and they decided crime was the best way for them to make money. And they took a couple scores, whether it was some armored trucks or a few banks, and then they finally settled on a Bank of America branch in North Hollywood in 1997. They were armed with fully automatic modified Norinco AKs and a M16 with Down syndrome, also known as a dissipator. Basically, the job went south. I think a cop actually saw them early and the whole job was pretty much shot. The police arriving on the scene were expecting the suspects to kind of barricade in and it was going to be a whole hostage thing, but they ended up coming out and started shooting at the police. And the police at the time were inadequately armed to deal with the robbers, especially since they had improvised body armor they were wearing from head to toe. They actually did get shot a few times with the 9mm, and I believe a 12 gauge shotgun as well, but it wasn't fatal. Cops, realizing that they needed more firepower, actually went to a nearby store. Owner of the gun store gave them rifles. So you can see photographs of these guys with an A1 or an A2 rifle responding to the shootout. Eventually the robbers were killed and no cops or civilians were killed. There were some injuries, but pretty much everybody made it. It was a happy ending for everybody involved. But ultimately, this highlighted a need for law enforcement agencies to adapt to new threats, so to speak. The Pentagon shortly issued, I think it was like 600 M16s they gave to the LAPD. Following this, it was one of the craziest shootouts in police history, even to this day. And it all happened during the assault weapons ban in the 90s, which is pretty funny to me. So it was because of that shooting that law enforcement agencies everywhere started to look at their arsenal and say, okay, maybe we should start equipping these cops with rifles, right? Not just SWAT, but the average patrolman, maybe he should get a rifle too in the event that he needs to respond to a situation of this magnitude, right? If you're the first cop on the scene and these guys got rifles, you're gonna wanna be able to defeat that and try to control that before it gets out of hand, I would think. Now, I'm not a cop, I'm trying to use a little common sense here and think, you know, if I was a cop and I was responding to a scene, I probably would try to deal with it as fast as possible so that I was limiting my, casualties and whatnot. So trying to prevent the situation from getting out of hand. As all things, right, the changes weren't immediate. It took years, decades really for the patrol rifle to get as popular as it is now with law enforcement agencies. I'm sure there's still some departments out there that that are using shotguns in lieu of rifles, but the vast majority, especially in like densely populated areas, you're gonna see cops running around with typically an AR-15. Now there are a few, I wanna say there's like maybe one department out there that uses AKs, but that's like an outlier. Everyone's gonna be using an AR nowadays. I was reading a little bit about this subject because it interested me, and I thought that maybe the viewers would be interested as well. Something that was interesting is that some departments were requiring their officers to actually fill out additional paperwork, and basically it sounds like there's some kind of notification that if you draw your weapon, right, that needs to be documented and recorded. Well, there was more required documentation for pulling out a rifle than a shotgun, and I've seen a couple guys that were defending shotguns saying that that was a reason that a patrol shotgun was still a viable option as a deterrent and whatnot. If you didn't really need to use your rifle, having a shotgun come out of the trunk required less paperwork, so people were opting to do that. Outside of that, rifles are pretty much superior in every single way to a shotgun. Now, a shotgun's gonna have you beat in close quarters, for example.
Officer, what's going on?
We got a barricaded suspect, potential hostages. We're not sure. We don't really care. All right, get back.
Are you gonna do a flashbang?
Better. SIG P320. Get back, get back, get back!
Right, you have a variety of ammunition such as slugs, breaching rounds, as we start to see drones used a little bit more, maybe even birdshot to take some of those drones down. Where a shotgun does not have the edge over a rifle is going to be accuracy, right, ammo capacity, manual of arms, right, the ease of use, the modularity, the optics, right, et cetera, et cetera. Now, of course, you can put optics on a shotgun, but you take, for example, I think it was a church or a school in Tennessee, where that officer had an LPVO in his rifle that he was using. Accuracy is a big thing, especially, I would think, for a police officer, right? You're trying to limit that collateral damage. If somebody had me by the throat and a gun in my head, right, I probably want the officer to have a rifle instead of a shotgun. As Reddit and 4chan have become more popular, modern law enforcement has had to adapt to new threats. Now, it's not every day that you're seeing body armor used and whatnot in these kinds of shootings, but it is important, I think, to have, because the 12 gauge isn't really going to penetrate armor. 9mm isn't really going to penetrate. Pistol rounds kind of aren't very good in general, unless it's a submachine gun. But rifle rounds are going to help defeat some of those threats a little bit easier. I think that's why we've seen the development of patrol rifles kind of become the standard, and I think it makes a lot of sense. Shotgun still has its place, and no one's knocking that. Of course, you always have the myths associated with shotguns, that you can pump the shotgun and it will deter anybody from wanting to mess with you, or you can take a revolver, for example, and point it at somebody, and they'll see the bullets inside the cylinder. They'll say, oh, this guy means business. All these things are fantasies, right? You guys already know that, but these things are fantasies. The modern criminal is not a gentleman. This is not a kind of, oh, you got me, I guess I'll put my guns down. It's not that kind of world anymore. You're gonna be encountering bath salt zombies out there, demonic possessed individuals, fentanyl, meth, crack. All these things have taken over the mind of your average criminal, and these people it's not that they're not human, it's just that they're not in the right state of mind. And you want to be able to stop the threat, I would think. Trying to not use buzzwords here. Stop the threat's kind of a buzz phrase, I would think. But rifles are just going to help you put down those threats a little bit easier. Shotguns will as well inside certain distances, but rifles are just generally a little bit better, and you guys already know that. So Too Long Didn't Read is going to be the 1997 North Hollywood shootout. Showed agencies that they were ill-equipped to deal with a new threat on the horizon, which was Romanians with AKs and body armor. If you're interested in showing your love and your support for the channel, you can like, you can subscribe, you can go watch another video of mine. And if you want to be extra nice, you can go to my Patreon. I have a Discord, and we do a little bit of early access stuff there. I gotta get a little better at it, but that's what we got going on over there. Follow me on Instagram and check out my website. We sell merchandise, and we do a lot of good things over there. So go check it out. And appreciate you guys watching, and have a good rest of your day.
Stop resisting!